Hi, everyone.
Hi,
We
everyone.
are back for another episode of your podcast, Música y Mezcal. We are here with Imogen Moon, which has been, I feel like, I don't know, one of the longest moments that I was like, or you're one of the people that I was like, I really need to get Imogen on the podcast, but somehow we could never make it work
I
out. Our
know.
schedules were just like not
Complete
working.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we just recently talked, I was like, let's just like you were
right
like
away.
Friday. I was like, yes, Friday, Friday, this Friday at 2.
Yeah.
Like just do it.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I know it was really a long time in the making. But, But it ended up working out, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to be here because it's gorgeous, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We can kick it off with a nice
Okay.
cheers. Yeah.
We're not chugging though. We're just sipping, right?
Just sipping. Yeah, please. Yeah, we're gonna sip today, especially me, because I sipped a lot last night. I would like to first start with your whole travesty. Is it correct to say travesty? I don't know.
Sure. I don't know the word, but I trust you.
Yeah, the whole long and winding road towards making like the list on CBC, like jumping from 20 to 18 and then to 15 and then so you released Nicholson Dam just not that recent anymore,
About like a month and a half ago, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
or maybe 2 months.
It was July 21st, I think.
Oh,
Or June 21st. Never mind.
yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it? Yeah, because I feel
That
like
was a while ago.
like before you released it, I was like, I knew you were gonna release it, and I was like, Imogen, you need to come to the podcast. Yeah, and that was like 2 months ago. So yeah,
Yes. No, I was wrong then again. It was July 21st. I just realized. Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a really interesting process. I don't know. We just kind of had to get in touch with so many people and like.
How did the process start? Like, how are you, like, did it simply like got on the radio and then they got you on the list, or were you like?
No, so it's just a lot of effort of like pushing yourself or branding yourself in the right way. So I sent my album to a bunch of people at CBC and we like tried to get in touch with anyone we could to just try and like see who would even just listen, like even just read the email.
Yeah.
We've been sending them. When I say we, by the way, this is like me and my executive producer. So like the person that I work with on Cellar Music. We'd been like just trying to email back and forth or just get in touch with people since the beginning of the project. Like since like probably a year and a half ago. To say, hey, this is what's starting. We just got this grant. When it comes out, keep us in mind. So keep looking out for it. Like pay attention to it type thing.
Yeah.
And then when it did come out, I had another person working on my team that was just doing really, really well with marketing and pushing it. So it got a few reviews right off the bat, which was really helpful because that just shows the more reviews that you have, the more like articles that are written about you.
Yeah.
It just makes a huge difference. So a few reviews came out and then we just got back in touch with the people that we'd already kind of said, will you be paying attention?
Put me in your radar.
Yeah, think, start thinking forward to what could happen with this. And yeah, it just kind of took off, which is really exciting.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So was it, so like there was obviously a lot of effort put into it.
Yeah.
But it was also like sort of like everything fell into place.
It definitely did. Yeah. I mean, that's how this whole project has been though, too. Like when I started music, I had just graduated high school and I didn't have any training at all. My whole idea of the trajectory of my career was to go to music school after COVID, because I didn't want to go to music school, while I couldn't be there in person, because there's not really any point in like, I want the connections and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure there's a point, but I wanted the connection more than anything and relating to other people. So my plan was to apply for music school using the first EP that I did, which I released in 2019. And in that time when I was kind of waiting on school, that's when Cellar Music picked up that first EP and they were interested and they wanted to talk to me about a career in music and that kind of thing. Oh. And then when this was the project that we wanted to do, we wanted to recreate my grandfather's album. And throughout that time, like obviously I was willing to do it, but then I got a grant for a lot of money. And I mean, that was really hard as well. The grant writing process is like, it's basically like writing a school scholarship. It's really long. It takes months. Like, you know,
and it's super detailed, and it's a lot of info and things you have to sort of work to get so you can actually put it into the blank where they put you where they're asking whatever thing.
Well, the other thing about it is that you need to get in contact with everyone that you could potentially be working with before you write the grant, because they need to see your plan of action. So there's work that needs to be done, and it's like some people aren't getting like paid unless they know that you get the grant, right? So that's kind of the toughest part about writing the grant. I kind of went off on a tangent here, but we're on kind of
and it's fine. That's the whole point of a podcast. And it's also something that I wanted to ask you. Like how the granting process was.
Well, that's kind of the thing. So for the second grant that I received, that was a lot more difficult, I guess, because I was trying to get people on board with the project and saying like, we will get a grant eventually. You can keep applying, you know, like we're going to do it. And in the time that it takes to do that, I need some work from you that I can't pay you for yet, you know? So then
we might not get the grant.
Exactly.
Like, it's not guaranteed.
So it just, everyone in this, that means though that everyone in this project was like, had faith in the project, you know? Because everyone had agreed beforehand. Like they were like, we trust this is going to happen. Like the director of the music video, for example, she was like, we're going to do it whether it's this amount of money or this amount of money. If it's $0, we'll make it work, you know? Like she was interested in doing it with me as well. So yeah, that was kind of the hard part about writing the grant. But back to like the storyline of me being a musician. After we got the grant, it was big enough that we had like a big budget for a band. So we didn't know what we were going to do with it. Cause I've never been in this industry. Like I felt like I was just a kid. And when Ian Hendrickson Smith, who's the producer of the album, he reached out and said that we could get the Dap Kings, that was like, I'm so thrown into this. Like, I can't even play piano. Like, I'm just a singer. I just write songs in my bedroom. I work at like a restaurant as a server. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And these people are such heavy hitters. So that was really, really intense. And then, like, it did fall into place, but I still feel like kind of like the project is in a certain place and I'm at a level a few steps behind. Because I still don't really know the industry very well. But yeah, it's the same thing with CBC. Like it seems to have just like kind of fallen into place. I mean, with work and effort, 100%, but also it's rare that like someone who isn't known at all can be on the top 20 list. So that was really exciting.
Well, I was going to say like, I mean, even though if you feel that way, it doesn't really, like, you don't really show it that way. And I mean, in like, you know, like in a good way, like it, cause I know how some musicians might like sort of disregard, just being a singer. You know, cause it's like, oh, you're not a musician or whatever. But, I mean, I can't sing. I can't sing shit. So for me, it's like, I know I'm not a musician, but for me, like, well, your voice is your instrument. So the simple fact, like, that you are able to do what you do, and like, you have such a beautiful voice, which I have been so privileged to listen to it in like in a very casual way, and was very like nice, like very nicely surprised by it. So it's like, if you feel that way, just I know it's like, don't feel that way.
No,
just don't feel
I know what you mean though.
You know, just
I appreciate it.
What I mean is like, like don't disregard yourself so quickly. You know, like there's still like, it still needs talent, and there's still like a lot of dedication that you have to put into any project that you have to put into, or that you've put into. And it's showing, you know, like you're on the top 20 list of the CBC and you're on the like very first places, and you know, so it's like, I mean, like it doesn't matter.
It's interesting. Like, it's not that I'm feeling like I shouldn't be where I'm at. It's just that I gotten to this point in a really specific and unique way, and that kind of puts me just in a different playing field than other people. So it's more, I mean, I've heard the same thing even from the band that I worked with. Like, they were like, I didn't go to music school either, and they're the famous dudes, right? But yeah, it's more so just that the way that I do things, it just requires a lot of communication, which I'm good at as well, so it's working for me. But you know, like, I can I can write chords in my head and sing them.
Yeah.
I just can't write them down physically.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
if I sit down to co-write with someone, I will be like singing them the chords that I want them to play, and they just kind of work off that.
Yeah.
And it works. It's just not the same as how everyone does it. So it's just kind of puts me in like a different place. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. Different. Yeah.
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 Okay, nice. Yeah. Then that's good that it's, that you see it that way. And so how was like, you got 2 grants.
Yeah.
I knew you had one for like this one for Nicholson. But now that you mentioned that you have 2, like how did you, like when was the moment that you decided to apply for a second grant, knowing how the first process was? Being like, I want to do this for, this project.
Well, it was because we got a big enough grant and then ended up working with the band that we worked with. And we were like, this is an opportunity we have to jump on. We're going to blow the budget on this band because that's worth it at this point.
Yeah.
Once we have that, basically how it works with Canada Council is you can get you have to keep like kind of rigorously applying for grants until you get your 3rd one. Once you get your 3rd one, you can apply for a higher amount of money. You get it easier. It's basically, I mean, it makes sense. It's the Canadian government and they don't want to see the people that they give money to fail, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they give, the first grant that I got, it was, I'm not going to say prices because it just feels weird, but it was enough that it could have been the entire project. It could have been, creating the music video and doing promotion and marketing team. And like, it could have been everything if we used a way smaller band. But because we chose to use these guys, it was like, you can't give up that opportunity.
Yeah.
So we ran out of money from that. And then when we knew that even if we did run out of money, Canada Council would prefer to give us a second grant because like they want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
So if there's no marketing money in your grant and you've spent it for good reason and you can prove why you've spent it. And also, by the way, when you revise a budget on a grant, like if you've made an original budget and you change it throughout the process of like after having received it, you do have to apply for permission to do that. So we applied for permission. We said, we're going to kind of like blow the budget on this type thing.
Yeah.
And they said that was okay. And then we knew that like eventually it would come, but we actually applied for one August last year and I didn't get it. So we were stuck. We had this finished project, like all of the music that you're hearing, that was done a year ago. And all we needed was like money for marketing, a music video, and like kind of a promotion team type thing. But we had nothing. So we were like, we can't, it's such an important album. It means so much to me and my mom. And I mean, it's the Dap Kings, like the world can't hear it. And for it to have like 5 plays, like it needs something to push it forward.
Like,
So we were like, we just have to hold off on the release. We just have to wait, keep applying.
Until the moment is right.
Yeah. And then we applied for 4 other grants when I got my second one. And the first 3 were for way less money, like a fraction. And I didn't get any of them.
Oh no.
And we were all freaking out. We were like, it's been, it's a year now. Like we have to get something.
Yeah.
And we were waiting on this one last one. It was the biggest one. And when I got it, I saw there was like an email that said like, check your Canada Council portal, something has changed. And I was like,
oh my God.
And
my God, I got chills.
it was so exciting. I called my mom and she was on she was driving to Squamish, I think, randomly. And I said, so for some reason I didn't have the access code on my phone because I'd left my computer somewhere else. So I didn't have the access code. My mom did. So I called her and I was like, Mom, I can't get in. I need you to check. I know this is it. And she was just on the phone and she was like, I'm so nervous. And I just started crying because I was like, I just feel I didn't get it. And I just looked up at my boyfriend. I was like, I didn't get it. Like, I just know I didn't get it. And then she just went, Imogen, sweetheart. And I was like, yes. And she was like, you got the entire thing.
Oh my God.
And I just like bawled, screaming. It was literally like the videos of people like getting into Harvard. I was being pretty dramatic about it. But it was really exciting. And then from that point forward, we had, the opportunity to work with people we wanted to work with and for like the music video and the marketing team. And it's been such a great run. And it's still happening. I mean, it's moving up. So I'm excited about it.
Nice.
And like I was saying before too, the commitment of having like the director of the music video had committed. She said like, whether we have no money or a huge budget, like I'm doing it with you.
Oh.
And it makes such a huge difference when you have someone on your team working with you that like just believes in you and is willing to do that.
Yeah.
And then to actually be able to offer them the money that they deserve and get paid fairly is like
super
incredible.
rewarding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was like, okay, I wasn't, I got chills.
No.
That's so nice. I'm happy you got that budget then.
Yeah.
Like the big one.
Yeah.
The big grant. And now we get to enjoy, like, the music is insane.
Yeah.
Like, when I heard the first time the song, I remember I was turning to Paco and I was like, I feel like the song could really be like, like huge. Like, it's just like something I am so, I feel like I could definitely hear it. And like, it can just always be part of my playlist and, you know, like that kind of,
it.
I mean,
I'm blushing.
it's so cool. And now that he showed me your grandfather's version, which is also so cool, I still feel like I like better your version. Sorry.
I mean, no,
Granddad.
that checks out. But here's the thing though, I'm not even just saying that because it checks out like that this is better. I mean, first of all, it is with a huge band that's fantastic. It's also jazz, and you are more in the jazz scene typically.
Yeah.
And his version, I mean, his writing is absolutely incredible. What's interesting is that he wanted this album to be jazz. Like his original, it's in, for anyone who hasn't listened, it's in like this like psychedelic pop 70s style. And it was released in 71. And he really wanted it to be jazz, but he was working for CBC at the time, and he just knew that there was no way it would get recognition. But because it's about environmental activism and like anti-corporate greed, he wanted it to get pushed as much as it could. So he just kind of was like, I have to make it in the genre of pop. Yeah. So but the charts, like if you did look at them, they all are jazz charts. So it feels like almost like it fits better in this, if that makes sense. Or maybe not better, but just really differently. But he was a jazz lover at heart. I mean, his story also, I haven't even mentioned this on any other like interview, which is so funny, but like he's associated with like Duke Ellington, like Louis Armstrong. Like he was, he played for Duke Ellington. He came up to Duke Ellington during a show when Duke Ellington was like not the most famous, but you know, you had access to him. And he said, I wrote a different arrangement of one of your songs, you know, can you play it? And he said, no, why don't you get up on stage and play it? So my grandpa got up on stage and played with Duke Ellington's band. And and then since then he like, Duke Ellington sent my grandpa like Christmas cards and stuff every year. It was so sweet. But yeah, his whole like his whole life was jazz. He was also one of the founders of the first jazz association in Toronto, along with my grandma. So yeah, like this album, it was incredible. And it also always should have been jazz. I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You also have a very jazzy voice. So that even makes it like, I don't know, it's just so nice to listen to. I'm happy. This is so cool. Like this has like so many different like stories and backstories, and it's so like fun. So you've already mentioned that you like your grandfather was like awesome. Does he play music? Does he still play music?
He died.
He passed away.
Yeah, he died in 2013. I don't know why I smiled when I said that. That's creepy. But he passed away in 2013, and so I was 12 at the time. Okay. But he did play right up until he died. He was just, his whole life was music. Like he was still co-writing with people and working with people. He was a really interesting guy. He really was involved in the arts and in that scene. Yeah.
So you come from a very musical family.
Yeah. So my mom's also a singer. My dad's a poet. So that makes sense why I'm here now. I don't know, like there's a lot of little things. My brother's a painter. My actually here, would you be able to like pass me? I have a CD in here and I'll show you.
Yeah.
There's so the cover of the album. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. These are for you guys, by the way.
Yes.
The cover of the album, I don't know if this will like catch on camera.
I think so.
Like a makeup artist.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was my great grandmother's self-portrait. She painted this.
Oh.
So except this is my face and all of this stuff is added in. So it's basically, there's aspects of this painting that she painted in her 20s. And then we just like basically made it into like a collage. So like all of this stuff, like my face and like these, like some of the butterflies, the fish jumping over here.
So that's why the video is also like,
Yeah.
now I understand the video a lot more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so my like family history is all artists.
That's insane. Well, I like, it's not insane. It's just like, it's so cool. I don't have any arts in my, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, parents are great. I love them, but yeah, like no artists. My grandmother was, well, she danced. She was a flamenco dancer.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a flamenco dancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you know that?
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I'm not, I mean, really anymore, but I moved to Spain because I was dancing flamenco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now I know why. Okay. Oh my God. This is so funny. So I also wanted to tell the story. I already told you off camera, but I wanted to save it for here. That the first time I heard you sing was because you and I both worked at Guild at the same time while I was working in the kitchen. And the one place you could listen to something other than what's playing outside is a kitchen.
Yeah.
So whenever you would come in and, you know, like whatever, because we were working, you would like, once the night was like a little bit chill, the first time I heard you, I really can't remember what song it was, but you were just like humming along, like, I don't know. Yeah, you were like humming along and I was like, what? Like, was that Imogen? And then you just like left. I was like, I think it was Imogen. I'm not sure. Like, who else was it? Like, because, you know, there's a lot of people coming in and out. So,
well, and a lot of singers there too.
And then,
like,
yeah.
the servers and like everyone who's working
Yeah,
there.
except me. But yeah. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Paco started this. But yeah, so like, and then another time you came in and then you were like also like humming. And then I think they were singing, I don't know which band it was, but they were singing, I forget. I don't know. It was one song.
Sing it for me.
No. No.
Maybe just like Valerie, honestly, because
maybe
everyone
like
plays Valerie.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I was like, maybe I'm just putting that in my head
No.
because it's the one that everyone sings.
Yeah, pretty much. We talked about that at the end. I remember we were like, God, at this point, I don't know if I can hear Valerie one more time.
Yeah, like it's just too much. Like, guys, please just.
It's a great song, but like listening to it every night and like almost the exact same version.
Yeah,
you kind of were like, wow, I've heard this song more than I've heard my own voice.
Yeah,
at a certain point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like
it's a go-to.
Too much.
It's a go-to for a good reason, though.
Yeah, that's true. It is a great song. But yeah, well, yeah, probably it was probably that one. But then I think it's just I remember that I told you something like, oh, I thought you were singing EXO from Beyonce.
Oh my God, I remember.
And then you were like, oh
remember.
yeah, like, and then you started like singing, and I was like, oh my God, and I didn't tell you then, but I was like, oh my gosh, she sings amazing. And then
so funny.
and then we started talking about that, like, oh yeah, well, because you know, I sort of sing, and when you told me that, like, this was like weeks after we had already had that moment where I was like, oh, I thought it was like the one from Beyonce, like EXO, blah blah. And you were like, I don't remember what you said, but you were like, oh yeah, you sing a little bit, blah blah. I was like, you don't sing a little bit. Like, I've heard you. Like, you have a really beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was really nice. So whenever you would walk like in the kitchen, I'd be like, I hope she sings, because it's just like, it was just so really nice. Because there's like a lot of people sing also, like, you know, coming into Guild and when we're in the kitchen, like people that work there. But yours was one of the voices that I was like, yeah, she can stay here and sing. Like, it's just really nice.
Oh, that's really
you
nice.
have a really, really nice voice.
Thank you.
Like a really beautiful voice.
It's so like, I don't know, finding my voice, I feel like, is a very confusing thing for me still, because I would love to be like a Beyonce or like a Christina Aguilera. Like, I would love to belt, and it's just not how my voice works.
No.
So I don't know who asked me, but like a while ago on an interview, someone was like, how did you find your voice? And I was like, it's the only thing my voice can do. I can't do the like big, they were like, you have such like a calm voice. And I was like, because I can't belt.
But
I want to,
still, like, because I mean, you could talk or like sing with your like nose or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But you have like a back whisper. I don't know how to describe it.
Whispery voice. Yeah, it's interesting. So I also, there's so much about this, but I did take singing lessons for about like a year, like once a week. Just after I quit dance, I took some singing lessons because I was interested. I realized it wasn't really for me because exactly that. I had this like really breathy voice, like a really breathy tone, a really light tone. And the singing teacher that I had, love her to bits. And the point of her teachings were basically to be able to access every part of your voice, which I still think is really useful, 100%. But it left me kind of feeling a bit confused of what my natural voice was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like practicing and trying to get into that Christina Aguilera feel, like that, like Mariah Carey, like I wanted, like Whitney, like I wanted to belt, I wanted to scream. And then I just couldn't. And it just kind of left me like confused about what was natural to me.
Yeah.
And not only that, but also I do have a really big range, but my natural range is quite low. Like if you actually, yeah, most of the songs that I sing
are like low,
quite low.
Yeah.
You can hear it on one of the songs. I think it's Song for the Middle Aged. I'm doing it in 2 octaves. Because my higher octave was just a little bit too high for me. Okay. But my lower octave was just a little too low. So I have like 2 voices consistently because, because it just, you know, I didn't want it to, I wanted to layer it. But the higher voice sounds cool. And that's the main vocal in the song.
Have you played that song live?
No.
No.
No. But the lower vocal, if you actually listen to it and you listen back to it, it's quite low. Like it kind of sounds like a man. Like it really could be. And I remember also like the singing teachers that I've had like maybe 4 at different times in my life. And a few of them kind of told me to stay in my higher range because I sounded too masculine. Oh. You know what I mean? Like just kind of stick to your higher,
you feel
like
more comfortable.
More feminine. Yeah, I mean physically I feel a lot more comfortable in my lower notes. So yeah, I mean that's just how my voice works though. And it took me a while to kind of see it that way, that it is just natural to be lower. Yeah. And I don't know, even just like in high school, I would always just like talk like this, like, hey guys. I don't know. I was that like, hey, oh my God, I can't try to. Yeah. But no, naturally now I'm just like, okay, who cares?
This is my voice.
Yeah, this is my voice. I'm a low voice. I sing low. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And when did you realize that you could sing?
It's hard to say. I mean,
like your mom sings. Did she? So was it something that you used to do with her?
Yeah,
like, and just feel like it wasn't
a
moment like, oh, I can sing. It was just like, well, I sang.
Well, it's just the wording is funny to me because I still like every once in a while I'm like, can I sing? I don't know. Like
doubting.
Before this project got released,
sing.
Well, I just like for a while I was like still going to like my partner and being like, are you just lying to me? Like, can I actually sing? I don't know if this is real. Like, you know, those people that you can hear them and you're like, why hasn't anyone told them like they can't sing? Sing? I'm like, what if that's happening to me? Yeah. Like that, I feel like person? It could be me. So and then I realized that was just my own judgment, my own insecurity. But hey, yeah, I still sway back and forth. Like sometimes I'll just wake up at 4 a.m. I'll be like, why am I singing? I can't sing, you know? But I was singing my whole life. I mean, I remember like doing singing competitions with my friends at recess and stuff like that. And like just loving to sing all the time. And yeah, I would always be the person that would like sing in the car. I really thought it was like a movie moment when I was a kid. Like I was always like, I want to be the main character. And I was like, I'd be in the car and I'd be like, oh, hello. Like looking out the window. Oh, was I singing too loud? Like it was like that. Yeah, I did that a lot. I was an attention seeker. Well, I still am. What am I doing here? I'm an attention seeker. Every singer is an attention seeker.
I mean, it is something that I feel like that's funny. I don't know if it's like when it is true and when it's not, because it's not like, you know, the big artists, you know them well enough to be like, oh, they're just like, but a lot of them are always like, like I'm very introverted or and it's always the same story. And I'm like, but you sing in front of like 10 gazillion people. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like a thing that a few artists have to go through, you know, like they have to be like either introverted and then go through that process into like not being introverted anymore, or like being less introverted. Well, and then there's some people that are like, I've always loved the attention, you know, and it's like, and it's perfect, you know. This
is also something to get into. So I am saying, like, I'm joking about it. I loved attention when I was a kid, but in a very specific way, and I hated judgment. I couldn't handle it, and I've basically kind of swayed in the direction of I still hate judgment, and I also kind of hate attention now. Like as much as I'm, you know, trying to be outwards, like I'm sweating my ass off. I'm like nervous. Like I am an introverted person, and I didn't realize I was until COVID, I think.
Oh.
But I know exactly what you're saying. And I think most people that I've spoken to that have said kind of the same thing, like I'm an introvert, and you're like, how could you be an introvert if you're playing on stage? They've always just said like, it's completely an act. Like I'm basically just a performer.
Yeah.
Like it's not me. I'm not me when
you
I'm
detach
on stage.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's kind of like hard, and in some cases great, and in some cases probably could be really damaging. But yeah, I'm like a nervous attention whore. I'm like nervously begging people to look at me, but also I don't want to be too forward. Like, yeah.
like cats.
Definitely. Exactly.
Like cats, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, pay attention to me, but just with your eyes.
But just like be careful about it. And don't judge me. And don't get mad at me. And don't.
Yeah. Because like, I get it. Yeah, just like a cat. I guess. I don't know. Other cats are just like, don't ever touch me ever.
Yeah.
You mentioned your cat was a little bit like that.
My cat is so sassy. She's so funny. I was like, I've had her since I was 10, and she, I used to work 3 jobs right before COVID.
Oh.
I know, it was a lot. And one of my jobs was like a 6:30 a.m. job. And it was right after graduating high school. And I felt like I was finally, like I was like an independent girl. My little cat was living with me. And I'd go off to work. I'd let her out in the morning, and I'd like go to my coffee shop and open up. And no, I was working at a coffee shop. And I would like go out at 6:30, and I'd let her out. And then I'd come back in and go, Pepper, come in. And then she'd come in. And it felt like we were like just 2 little like young girls taking on the world type thing.
Yeah.
It was really cute. But she's a lot, honestly, she is a lot like me. She's cute, and I'm cute. No. No, I was trying to say like she's like really independent.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah.
She like needs her space, but she wants attention when she asks for it. And that's me.
Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah, that is something that happens also with like pets in general. No?
Yeah.
Have you, I wanted to ask you about like your inspiration, but I was going to make a weird question. Like, have you drawn inspiration from your cat?
Oh my God. Yeah.
But okay, nice.
Every day I see her and I'm like, you're so like confident, and I don't have the confidence that you have, and I want it. That's how I see my cat.
Oh. And have you ever written anything? Like we had Christine Lee here as a Christine Lee as a guest. She belts. She's insane. She's amazing. She sings really good. And she wrote a song about her cat. And it's like so nice and so fat.
Honestly,
and,
this is the thing. My writing. So also this album isn't a representation of my writing, right? Like I'm
yeah,
saying it's my grandfather's writing.
Yeah.
I am really excited to write again just for myself. And I'm trying to kind of find a style that can merge people, like the listeners that I have right now from this album. I want to like merge them into what I naturally write, because it's quite different, I think.
Okay. How do you describe what you write? How would you describe it?
So it's honestly, I take inspiration from my father's writing. My father's a poet, and he basically says he writes poetry for people who hate poetry. It's all really just realistic and simple, if that makes sense. This album is a lot more poetic. He's a poet as well, but this album is a lot more
like use
up for
metaphors
interpretation.
And
Yeah, it's up for interpretation.
Yeah.
My father's writing is just kind of like, this is how we feel, and this is when you feel it. Can't you relate?
Yeah,
if that kind of makes sense.
Like
And that's kind of what I do as well.
Modern poetry, has been like that a little, like recently.
Yeah.
Do you know? I like poetry, and I follow a few like poets on Instagram. There's this guy named Neil Hilborn, and then this guy Rudy Francisco, and they are like one of my favorite poets. Like they have like really cool they just write really cool. So Rudy Francisco writes sometimes a lot like what you're describing, you know, like very like descriptive, not up for metaphor, you know, just like what it is, but in a way that, I mean, it's still like poetic because it describes something that you didn't necessarily think about it that way until you hear this guy, you know, recite his poetry and you're like, oh.
I respect like every single walk of poetry. I just think personally my writing comes more from the inspiration of my dad. And exactly like what you're saying, like it's a feeling that is just being told, like it's a story being told rather than, it's basically the difference of realistic art and abstract art, in my opinion. You know, I love abstract art, but it's like they're telling you how you know you felt, but you don't remember feeling that way until it comes up and it brings up these emotions, and they're new emotions or maybe nostalgic emotions, but it's not the same as what should I take from that? Or like, let me listen to it 6 more times so I can even understand it. Yeah. I'm not as much of a fan of that personally. That's not really what this album is, I don't think. It's just my writing is a bit more simple. Yeah. If that makes sense. I did actually, do you want me to just like read? I'm just going to read one thing that I just wrote. And it's just an example. I think you're going to kind of understand a bit more. Yeah. I just worked with someone, a friend of mine from Galliano, which is where I like mostly live now, and where I grew up. So I've known him for a long time. He's a really cool dude. And we just kind of started working on something, but he made a beat that I really liked. So I just looked through all the stuff that I'd written, and I was just like, maybe I can just throw something out. But the one thing that I had was a poem that I wrote. So it wasn't a song. I didn't intend for it to be a song.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay. I'm going to read it as kind of like a poem instead of the song version. And then once the song, if I release it, you'll hear it. And you'll be like, I knew the poem.
I knew it. Yes.
Okay.
This is going to be so nice.
I don't think I'm good at reading poetry, but it's just more so you can see the difference of how my grandfather wrote versus how I write. Okay. Yeah. If my mother corrects me, and she will correct herself, in her painful death, she will regret all of my mistakes. Who knows how my mother talks, because I mock her night and day. And so does Dad. And when we do, she cries and then laughs and then burdens me with the truth that I am her, if not even more. My brother made her cry once, and I cried too because I didn't know how mean it could get with sons. He is truthfully nice. My mother told me her arms were too big, but mine were young at the time.
Whoa.
Dramatic, eh?
Yeah, very dramatic. I was expecting something else.
Well, it's really different. I mean, like, that's how I feel like I naturally write. Just like, it's not, I mean, it can be.
You're dark, a little bit.
Like, it can be up for interpretation, but it's also just, my mom told me her arms were big and mine were too young. And that's like, you know exactly what we're talking about. We know that that's talking about like the influence that women have in our society and towards their daughters, and how they've been pressured in a certain way, and how it ultimately just comes back to us. It's just, it's very like straightforward. Like, you know what we're talking about. We're getting to the point here. Like, that's how I write naturally. So yeah, I think my grandfather wrote really differently. So I'm trying to find a way to like merge that gap of how I can kind of relate the two styles of writing. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I wouldn't know how to help you with that. Because I'm not an artist. But I mean, sometimes I guess it just like, it doesn't have to necessarily have that like fill in the gap. Like there's a bunch of artists that just go from one thing to another, and
it's totally true. I think it's just more so that this is the time, because I have access to so many people in the industry, where I'm like reaching for an audience and finding my audience. Yeah. And it's hard because this project, like, I don't think I'm going to make another record quite like this. So I'm trying to find an audience that will love this music, but also
jump into yours.
Yeah, see where I'm headed with that. And I have a bit more interest for like R&B and more like soulful. I mean, this is kind of an R&B soul album, but more modern R&B. Yeah. So I'm just gonna see how that
plays out.
Yeah. Just see what happens. And I also want to experiment with, like, I mean, one of my favorite producers, I don't know if you know Galimatias. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he did Urban Flora. In like 2014 with Alina Baraz, and his music, it's not anything like my music, but I just really love him as a producer. I just like that would be so cool to do kind of a more like a synthed album, like where it's a lot more electronic and a lot more orchestral. I'm really, really into like electronic orchestral music.
Wow. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know an example of one of those songs if someone like wants to
your
listen
voice
to one.
could match like perfectly with that.
I don't know. We can't play music on, or can we play music on?
You can
here?
play music.
Will it just sound
it'll just
weird?
sound. I feel like it'll just sound like sort of shitty. So we apologize. We can do whatever you
I'll
like,
show
whatever
just,
we
like-
want. It doesn't matter.
Just like an example of something else I'd want to try, which is so different, is kind of.
You heard it first here. Música.
Let's find a good one. Oh, I like whispering. It sounds so seductive. My God. Kind of like this. Will this work or will it start screaming?
I don't know.
Will it work?
I mean, it sounds like a little bit like echoey.
You know, it's just like.
You have total the.
Yeah. It's like a mermaid song. I want to make mermaid songs.
Mermaid songs. Yeah.
I want to try out everything.
You sort of look like a mermaid here.
Well, I'm in the water.
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, you look like, like mythological, and I don't know. I love now that, like, knowing now the story, like the backstory of it is like, oh, wow. It's like so cool.
Thanks.
Because it's like trees and then, environmental.
Yeah.
Like
that was the work
statement here with like a bunch of like, yeah.
So shout out Simon Paul. He created the cover.
Nice job.
You're right. Right, Simon?
Well
good
done,
job, Simon.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, he kind of just like collaged this into something that was, just it's kind of repurposed. This whole album, it feels like the whole thing is repurposed. It's like old work that is gorgeous in its own way and then repurposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And then why did you exactly decide that you wanted to do your repurpose your grandfather's album?
Well, that was so
like why was it
like why did it come about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first did my first EP, I had 4 songs that I really wanted to record, and I was listening back to my grandpa's album, and I really wanted to record Isn't It a Pity, which is the first song on this album now. And I wanted to include that in my first EP. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, because grandpa's gone, you have the rights to this music. Could I, reimagine one of the songs and include that on my EP? And she said, yeah, but actually I've been thinking about doing the entire album, like for a long time. Like she was saying I think I wanted to do, maybe it was Isn't It a Pity and Nicholston Dam I wanted to do, which are the first 2 songs on this album. And I said I wanted to include them in that one. And then she was like, well, I've wanted to do that as well. Basically, like I've wanted to re-record a few of these songs because it's my dad's work. And also the first version called haven't even mentioned the name of the first album. It's Songs for the New Industrial State by Doug Randall. And the first album had... it was 2 male vocal leads. So my mom kind of wanted to like redo that with me and her. So it would be like a generational project. And then I got so into music, and when I released that EP, that was when we were kind of like, well, why don't we do this together? And then we kind of decided like, if, mother-daughter duo, we need to set boundaries with what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And because I'm moving forward in music, we were like, well, maybe we just kind of start, like maybe I kind of take control of this project and like actually go for it full throttle instead of, just doing a few songs or a few singles. Like maybe we just really go for it. So yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And does your mom sing in this?
She does, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's doing some of the background vocals.
Oh,
You'll hear her
nice.
in, I think, Nicholston Dam, Middle Aged, and most of them. Most of them she has at least like one part in it.
Nice.
I would be able to point it out. You might not be able to hear it because she actually has a really similar voice to me. yeah, she's just
You have a
she's
similar
layered.
voice to her.
Yeah. Yes, I have a similar voice to my mom. I took after her.
I heard your mom like
Yeah,
through.
exactly.
She's like,
I'm
you
the
have
original.
my voice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have your voice. You have my voice.
Yes, definitely I do.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
But you know what we were trying to say.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, like it's kind of hard to distinguish the two, but if I was to point it out, you would be able to hear a difference. Like she has a gorgeous voice, yeah. And she actually, I think she's gonna release her album soon-ish. I really hope, which is called "The Day Fats Waller Died."
Oh,
it's really good. It was also written by my grandfather, but for my mom. So this one was not written for me. That one was written by him and Ross Taggart, who also sadly passed away in 2012. But yeah, that was kind of like a trio project with my mom, my grandfather, and Ross Taggart. Yeah, so I hope she releases that as well. She has a gorgeous voice and it's like incredible. It's been 11 years now, and I think it was mostly because my grandfather and her friend Ross, who were, the two of the three trio, they both passed away in the same year. So it was just really hard for her to release that album. It was a really personal project and she wanted to do it in the right way at the right time. But when it does come out, like I'm trying to push her to release it because I think it's just also such an important part of my grandfather's history. And I know that,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she does it.
Me too.
We can get to hear it.
Yeah.
And then how did you, so you already released this. But you mentioned that you're starting to write again, like back to your own music. How do you approach like your songwriting?
It comes at different times. So like, for example, the poem that I read, I just sang over a beat and just filled in words that rhymed kind of, but it is more like poetic music. It's not typically how I would write, because usually I would write my melody and lyrics and have chords in mind and then co-write with someone for the piano. So usually like I do have to co-write because I don't play piano or guitar. So when I do that, I usually like record my melodies and lyrics as a bass line with just like a metronome and then send it to someone and say like, I want these general chords, like, can you work on with me? And then
and so the instruments that you usually like go to in your head are like piano
in my head. Like I can hear a chord in my head. I just can't physically play it or write it down. So probably piano, sometimes guitar. Every once in a while, there's like a bass line I think of, and I'm like, down, 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 yeah. But yeah, it's usually just kind of writing in my room, and then I kind of have I don't know, like I can hear the song in my head. When I start singing it with my melody and lyrics, I can hear the like instruments that should be there. Yeah.
And are you planning on going to like music? Because you wanted to study,
I did want to
before.
This
but
is
now
what's
like
tough.
you've already started, so
yeah.
Like,
I think I do want to eventually still, because I think I have a lot to learn. Like I think that there would be so many benefits to doing that. I just right now it's a bit of an awkward time. Like I'm just also, it's strange because I'm also in the year right now, I'm 22, so everyone who went straight into music school is graduated, and like a lot of my friends are graduating university right now, and I've never gone to school at all. So it's a bit of an awkward time. Like I'd be going back with like people a bit younger than me, which is fine, but I'm just kind of thinking like when the right time would be for that. And at the same, I mean, some people really do succeed without going to music school. I think I'd like the cushion of going eventually. But yeah, I do think that I want to.
Did your parents, did any of them like go to music school?
Yeah. My mom went to music school. My dad went to school. Where did he go? Oh, goodness gracious. He went to school in Canada, like university. I think he went to Western. I might be wrong about that. He has like 3 degrees or something, all in English. So I don't know. But yeah, my mom went to music school for a while, and she also did some acting in her high school years. Yeah, very artistic.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. And now that you are writing your own music, like this is still like, this will still be like I don't know, like at least an 8-month like project, like you're still gonna be like,
Yeah, it's been already like a 2-year project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's still like, yeah, like this is still gonna be, a while until we listen to something like entirely yours.
I mean, I can play something.
I was gonna say, but like, are you gonna maybe like slip some things? Like,
yeah, well, that's the other thing. So I did actually want to include some of my originals on here because I did want to kind of blend these two genres together and like make the audience that was listening to this album kind of like aware of my other interests in music. It just didn't work out because of budget. Like I said, like we blew it in these 6 songs. But yeah, I do really like, I've been writing throughout this entire process as well. And there's days where I'm like, I don't want to hear like this right now. I just want to work on my own writing. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's something that I just wrote or recorded like a demo with this guy on Galliano that I can play. It's so fresh though. Like it's gonna be
you don't have to if you want to. Like,
I mean, it's fun. I just more so I'm like, he did great. His name is Ethan Reed, by the way. Actually, Matt Reed? He plays at Guild like all the time.
Matt Reed.
It's his nephew.
Oh.
And I had no idea. So I've like obviously seen Matt Reed like around and stuff at Guild and Co.
And then you were
and then he came. So I didn't even tell you this. Oh my God.
Okay.
So the Scott Verbeek, Matt Reed, and Paul, and a few other people from Guild and Co. all came to Galliano a few weeks ago. Oh. And I walked into a party and I looked up and I was like, what? My boyfriend said, that looks like Scott. And I was like, it is Scott. Galliano, just so everyone knows, it's like 900 people.
Yeah, like nobody.
Like nobody goes there. And they were all there. And I was like, what is going on here? Anyways, I found out that Ethan Reed, who I just worked on this song with, it's his uncle is like who I've known forever. I just had no idea the connection was there. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so he's also from like an artistic family.
Yeah.
Music family.
I'll play like, wait, which one is this? Okay. I'm just careful to not play the wrong one. Yeah. So this is the one of the poem. Ethan does
it sounds like Western-y almost.
I hope I'm okay to do this, Ethan. It's fine.
I was like...
If my mother corrects me, she will correct herself, and in her painful death,
I love your voice.
regret all of my mistakes. Who knows how she talks? I mock her night and day.
Anyways, that's the poem.
That sounds so cool.
That's kind of what
I feel like I could
with.
see it like, I don't know, like in a, like it could be a soundtrack from a movie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's like threatening almost.
Yeah. I
said
just
it's
thought, because
dark.
I thought of like Western, I don't know why, like at the beginning and then of the, I don't know. Wow, that's really nice. I'm really happy that you're like playing also like we get like the first.
We're hanging. I'm drinking, so I'm gonna
exactly. Yeah. We have more. I can still
I'll just play every single song I ever have if I just keep drinking.
So what's your plan for like these songs, like the ones that you're writing?
The ones that I'm writing. I want to do a volume 2 of this album.
Okay.
Eventually, and I want to just get a very different band. I think maybe I would do like a few songs with the same band if they would let me, if they would be so gracious, because they're so busy. Oh my God. But then with the volume 2, I would want to just do like the rest of the songs from the original album, because this one's only 6 and the original has 11. So I'd want to do the rest of the songs, or at least a few of them, to kind of also tie that in there, and then a bunch of my originals. With the next project that I do, which I think will start decently soon, because right now we're just running kind of like the marketing side of this album, and I want to be artistically creative still. So
you're good at branding yourself, also like marketing yourself. You're really good.
Oh, I'm not marketing myself. I mean, you mean right now?
Yeah.
Oh, right now, yeah. No, I mean, like we have people helping me like crazy.
But you're like really good like on camera, and like, like.
I think, is my chest not like burning hot red right now?
No.
I'm like scared.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the next project I just want it to kind of be a bit more like personal to me as well. Right now, like the point of this is to share my grandpa's message, which is super, super important to like be able to try and like find a new voice to these topics, because they're really intensely like devastating topics, right? Like, I mean, yeah, it's hard to talk about when we're, you know, when I'm almost like calling people out on environmental activism. Or like, you know, it's hard to hear sometimes that you're not doing enough, but sometimes it's necessary. But yeah, it's that is a message I want to share, but I also am really excited to just be able to present my personal, I don't know, experience. Yeah. Yeah, to just be a little more intimate with it. This feels intimate in my family history.
Because, exactly.
But it doesn't feel as intimate to me personally, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to be writing right now, and then that volume 2, like, you're going to continue writing. You still haven't necessarily decided, like, which songs or, like, you know.
Yeah.
But when would you be planning on releasing that?
I would hope around a year. I used to think that things like this could happen in very short amounts of time. But it's becoming more and more clear to me that if you want to do it right, it takes a long time.
A while.
Yeah. And if you are asking for funding, especially, like, you know, grants take months to write. And if you don't get them, that's months of work wasted, and not wasted, it's experience.
Yeah,
but it, you know, it kind of feels like it's a huge defeating time. So yeah, I'm going to kind of like say hopefully a year.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I know you've mentioned this before, but you're not necessarily looking to play like around Vancouver.
I kind of am. Like, I mean, I know I need to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I keep saying if that makes sense. Sorry, that's a whole nother thing. I just have really bad ADHD. But yeah, no, I know I need to, because that's what an artist like kind of has to do. I know there's some artists that really survive and thrive in not performing.
Yeah.
Which is my dream. Like, I look up to them so much. Like Frank Ocean, like, who just refuses to all the time. I'm just like, that's my dream. I want to get to a point where I have a supportive fan base. Not as big as him. But like, yeah, I also do not want to be famous though as well. So like, that's a whole nother thing. I don't really want like
just like enough to, you know, pay the bills. And
just to be like generally successful. And successful to me means exactly what you said, like paying the bills, like just kind of like
bills and, you know,
doing what I love
have a decent life. And,
yeah. I'm not really interested in like Beyonce level. That's terrifying.
What if it does happen though?
You know what someone told me, which is so sad? I was talking to Ian Hendrickson-Smith, who's the producer of this album, and he played with Amy Winehouse. Like, did I even say that this is like Amy Winehouse's band from Back to Black?
No, I think you just said it, off camera. But
well, here we are on camera. Yeah, this is like Amy Winehouse's band, and that's why I keep saying like they're so busy, they're so huge, and all that kind of thing. They are ginormous. But Ian Hendrickson-Smith, who is a friend of was a friend of Amy's, at one point I was explaining to him like that I don't know what to look for in my music career, because like I said, I don't want to be famous, but I want success, but to a certain level. And
you just like, you want to do what you're loving to do right now.
But the hard thing about being a musician is no matter how high you kind of try and jump, you're going to land lower. But I have goals that are like too small. If that makes sense. So like, I'm just going to stay on the floor. Like, I'm not jumping. So I know that I have to kind of like reach for something that more than what I'm actually going for to be able to land where I do want. But anyways, I was explaining that to him, and he was like, oh God. And I was like, what is it? And he was like, you're just like reminding me of Amy, because that's what happened to her, right? Like, she did not want to be famous. Like, this has been said time and time again.
And then it was like, boom.
He literally was like, what you're saying, I feel like Amy said that to me, and that's ultimately what killed her. Like, it's so sad, and it's so scary to see, because there's all these people that are reaching for the stars and never get there, and that's maybe sad, but oh my God, the devastation of being in a public eye to the extent that Amy Winehouse was, and never wanting to be there. Like, she never wanted that. She just didn't. she had goals, but it wasn't to be where she was.
Yeah.
And like, that is like obviously scary. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I want to, I just doubt that I would ever be in a place where I'm like, shoot, I'm all of a sudden so famous.
Super famous.
No, because I'm not pushing for it. And I don't know, if it did happen, I'd take a step back. I mean, a lot of people have also done that. Like Fiona Apple has taken a step back. You know, she got to a huge place of success. And for a while she was like, I don't want to be in the public eye right now. Like, I don't want this right now. And then, you know, she's still working and obviously being creative and being very successful, but she wanted to take a minute and, you know, not be up for judgment to the same extent. I think
if it happens, it'll happen, and then you'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then we'll see what I do about it. Yeah, I don't think so though, but that's okay. I'm happy where I'm at. I mean, honestly, I'm just
chilling.
Yeah, drinking mezcal and being on a podcast. This is my level of success. I'm happy here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, so I'm very excited for what is to come of your music. I already love that bit. So whenever it's ready, please let me know.
I will.
I will be probably like, one of the first people to be like, oh my God, like, listen to this.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, you really have like a really, really nice voice. Like, it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And I like where this is going. Like, I love the whole like backstory that this has. Like, whenever something has like that kind of depth and meaning, and it shows. So it's so cool that now everything just ties like very well together. Like this with the video of Nicholson Dam, and then you know, like I don't know, it's just so cool.
I think like you were saying, like branding myself, I don't know if I can brand myself just as a person, but this project, it's such a collection of everyone, right? Like I'm trying to show other people's voices as well. Like, this is not just me. This is not like my project. Like, if I had it my way, I could have everyone that I've worked with on this, because they're all like played equal parts in it. It's just, but that's why I'm like branding this forward and can say like, I want things to tie together and I want this to be perfect. Because I just want, like, if my grandpa was proud of me, you know, like,
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so we are going to finish this off with.
Oh, I've already finished.
Oh yeah,
with
a nice cheers to Granddad. Yeah, I was thinking of my grandfather recently. Actually. Yeah.
He passed away.
When I was like, I was 9. I want to say 9. Yeah. And then I didn't really get along with my other grandfather. Like, not bad. It was just like, we just weren't that close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about him. I don't know why. Yeah. He was like really nice and, you know, like peaceful and calm. And yeah, it was just, wow. Yeah.
Well, the loss of a grandparent is probably, for most people, like one of the youngest losses that they experience.
Yeah.
And it's the most devastating at the time as well, because
you're still so young too, and you can't really understand it.
And the concept of time, it moves so much slower. And a week goes by like that now. But as a kid, a first week after a loss like that, like the grief is just like 10 overtakes years. You.
Yeah. So this is like really like moving and touching. It's really nice. So now I'm gonna even listen to it like even more. Like, oh my God, like this is just so beautiful.
That's sweet. Thank you. He would appreciate it as well.
Yeah. Oh. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Oh my God, why am I like tapping the table like I'm taking shots?